I don't think you can go wrong when you're following passion, and that's it's not a money driver. It's a passion driver.
1985, Villanova shocks the world by upsetting Georgetown.
1996, Princeton Tigers upsets UCLA Bruins.
In 1997, Coppin State upsets South Carolina.
2018, the first ever number 16 seed UMBC upsets number 1 University of Virginia.
Everyone loves a great underdog story, the huge upsets, David beating Goliath. But what happens when there are no upsets? When the only people you get to see and hear from are famous people, the superstars, the head coaches, the celebrities. Are their stories more important? Do they matter more? Everyone puts in the same work, the same time, the same sweat. So who hears their stories? From the walk-ons, the assistant coaches, the role players, the 10th man off the bench. Everyone has a story and everyone has a voice. And on this podcast, you will meet these people, you will hear their stories in their own voices.
This is Underrated.
Welcome back to Underrated Episode 7. I am your host, Ray Hutter, and I'm trying to come up with some new things to describe my co-host, Dave Capers, but he's got a smile that lights up a room. Dave, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling really good today, Ray. Really good. I'm excited about our guest today.
Yeah, we got a great guest. Before we get to him, just again, please like, subscribe, all the other things, share, follow. We really want to continue to grow this podcast. We've had a lot of great guests, and our next one, you're going to love his story. Also, just a quick note, if you like the studio, please reach out to us at underrated_podcast@gmail.com and reach out to the guys, and they'll allow you to talk about studio time, whatever it is, rent it out. But again, love to hear the feedback. So let's get to it, Dave.
Yes.
I'm going to let you introduce our guest today.
Oh, man. So we have the one and the only Kashif Hameed.
Yes.
Iona, Hall of Famer.
Mac legend.
Starter of Clinic Kids.
Yeah, he's done a lot. Also was the big man in the middle on our team that we won a few men's league championships.
Yes,
for sure.
So Kash, welcome to the
Thanks,
show.
man. Congratulations, guys. I'm
Thank
really
you.
happy to be here.
It's awesome. It's good to see you. It's been a while.
It's
Haven't
been a
seen
while.
you on the court.
Yeah,
It's
been a while. It's been
doing
too
your
long.
thing.
It's been too long.
So Kash, welcome. Again, just the whole purpose of this Underrated podcast is really to give a voice of people that have really great stories and are doing a lot in the community, had a great history in athletics and specifically basketball in your case. So we just want to have a conversation with you and hear a little bit more about what you were doing back in the day when you played for Iona, high school, etc., played professional overseas. We'll get to all of that stuff, and then also what you're doing currently now, because I think you got a really compelling story, and I think the audience is going to really take to it. So,
Yeah, let's go, man. For
all
sure.
right.
Excited.
So start us off, man. Let's just talk a little bit about, let's talk from high school, and, tell us how you were recruited, how you picked Iona.
Yeah, sure. I'll go through that story. So I'm originally from Schenectady, New York, right? I'm not from the city. Okay. I was going to Bishop Gibbons High School, right? And I was, a late bloomer in high school. I graduated high school. I was 6'7", 185, right? So just super skinny, big head, trying to grow into myself, my feet and everything else. But I was really fortunate, man, when I was in Schenectady High School, as they were making the merger into that high school, and a coach saw my younger brother. He was taller than me, bigger than me, and he's like a year and a half younger. It's like, man, I got to get this kid to my school. Found out we were brothers and was like, okay, I'm getting them both to my school. So we ended up going to a Catholic school on the other side of town. And it just opened up the door where, AAU coach Mickey Walker came, and he basically, had this Converse All-Stars, Adidas, this AAU was just blowing up like crazy, right? Guys like Elton Brand, Lamar Odom, all these different guys played for Mick, a bunch of different pros. And so he comes up and, they're talking about guys that can play with him. And he's like, these guys aren't good enough to play with me, whatever. But he was gracious. He was probably right, but he was gracious. And the first AAU team I was on, our first trip was to France. And we took a plane to France. And I remember I was a sophomore. I was still trying to figure things out. But when we got on that flight to go to France, it was my first flight ever. We get off the flight. We're on the bus. We're going to the game. I don't know what it was or what happened. They were treating us like we were rock stars. They're banging on the side of the bus. The gym was packed. We play in this game. We end up losing the game, but they flood the court. You got girls asking for kisses. People asking for. I said I'm playing basketball for the rest of my life. This is what I'm doing. Like I'm a ball player. Like just period. And it really just changed the trajectory for me. You know, like so. You know, I was Vegas and all the different things, playing with Rich Leary and Jersey Demons, and just all over the circuit. Right. I wasn't getting heavily recruited, but a couple of schools, and I really thought I was going to end up going to Hofstra with Jay Wright. Jay Wright and Tom Pecora, like they came to the house. I was like, oh, I'm definitely going to Hofstra. They ended up giving my scholarship away the day I was going to commit to them. And just kind of Tom Pecora called me. He's like, hey, big man. And I could hear it in his voice, but I'm so blind with like, excitement. I'm not even listening. He's like, hey, big man, listen, unfortunately, we got a guy from Riverside Church, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. He's gonna be on the block with me. Like, I'm not even understanding the conversation, and he's saying, "Nah, we gave your scholarship away." I said, wow. Damn, like the whole Tin Man tier like came down, and just was heartbroken. But it ended up being the best thing in the world because I ended up going to Iona, and my career just blossomed. And we got to, beat Hofstra's ass, and I got to shake hands with them after, which was a great feeling.
Now, I'm a guy who takes receipts. Do you know who they gave your scholarship to?
I don't know. I didn't care. I didn't care. I just knew, like, when we played against them, I just
everybody
wanted them
was getting
everybody. Like,
okay.
Yeah, so Iona, I mean, how much were they recruiting you, or was that like a second school, third school?
I had BC, I had Rhode Island, I had Iona. These are the people that I was serious about. I had Iona, Hofstra, but Tim Welsh was recruiting me, right? Okay. And he was recruiting me for my sophomore year. And I ended up being an early commit my junior year. Like, I made the decision to say, like, I'm going to go to Iona, which was great because I ended up having a knee injury my senior year and had to sit out most of the season. But Tim Welsh was the assistant at Iona under his dad, and then he became the head coach, which was perfect, right? Because I was his guy. Even though I came in as a freshman, 6'7", 185, and I was the only freshman that year, like, I was still raw, like, still trying to figure stuff out. I'll never forget when it was time, they had this thing called Meet the Gales, where they introduced new players. When it was time for him to do the Meet the Gales Day, he was like, this is Kashif Hameed, and, he's coming from Schenectady, New York, freshman, like, blah, blah, and he just said by his junior year, he's going to be player of the year in the conference, right? So he had this faith in me that I really didn't even have at that point. Freshman year was the worst year, like, ever. I was struggling, like, minutes-wise, I think only averaged 1.7 minutes a game totally. So I was playing 20 minutes some games, 0 minutes other games, and we had some big games. We're playing against a national championship Kentucky team in the Garden, beat St. John's. So I'm getting the experience, but I don't understand the upside. But he saw it, and they invested in me. And, I had Jeff Rulin as my assistant coach, and his line to me was, big man, I was an unathletic white dude, right? But I was But when I show you this shit on the block, nobody's going to be able to stop you. I was a two-time NBA All-Star. Yeah. And he was right. Like, as soon as he started showing me that I was a sponge, and then, like, it was over, So he was instrumental.
How did you work through the adversity? We had a couple guests on previously in episodes, and even Cape was talking about it, like making that jump from high school to college. Yeah. So you had a first year that was inconsistent. Yeah. What drove you then? And obviously Jeff Rulin having those conversations with you and showing you those moves. Yeah. What drove you, and what did you do to get better so that you ended up having a fantastic career there? So what was it that drove you and motivated you to work through some of that frustration?
I had I credit my parents were amazing, right? And I credit my mom a lot. I had an innate belief in myself that just because it was hard, it wasn't going to stay that way, that I just needed to get over that hump, right? That I just needed to work, like to this work ethic, and I just was a beast, man. Like, so I wasn't playing a lot, but in the games that I wouldn't get any burn, I was in the gym when the game was over. And I used to talk to the custodians and let them, can I just rock out here? And it was hard. Like, I felt some kind of way that I didn't play. I was feeling defeated, but just pushing through it. I was in the weight room with nobody else. The weight room, like, they, 45s on each side. First of all, I didn't lift a weight before. I don't know what they were doing in Schenectady, right? Like, Herb, I love you, but brother, you didn't prepare me. I think we lifted like twice in high school, right? So when I got into the weight room and they had a 45-pound plate like on each side, and they were just, that 135 to warm up. I'm looking and they're doing it easily, right? So I'm the last one to jump on him, I'm the freshman or whatever, and so like, I'm like, okay. Man, when I tell you they picked that thing up, it landed on me and I could not get it up one time. They had to go down to 25s or something crazy, right? So, I'm getting clowned. Rod Zamora was our point guard. He's like this big, and he was bullying me with the elbow. So it was just a lot of development.
Right.
Mind you, I was only 17 years old because I was a December baby, right? So so then, like, between freshman and junior year, I went from 185 to 240, right? Like 6'7" to 6'8", and just was a monster. And I still was playing kind of out of position. I'm an undersized big, right? 6'8". But Jeff was right. He showed me all of this technique and footwork and everything else. And, sometimes it was one dribble and I was getting dudes off me. Sometimes it was no dribbles and, just athletic and able to finish. And it was just a great combination. And I had a great group of guys around us. Our team, I'm still friends with these guys, 20 plus years later. And we just had a core that was amazing. I always tell people we were major, mid-major,
Right.
I think we were like this close away from being like a Gonzaga or, St. Mary's or, any of these other programs that have like really moved to a different place. But we had some special guys.
Tell us about some of the the accolades you got. I know you was like first team, and when did it all come together for you as far as a player? Because
Man,
we
my
all
junior
had
year.
that little space where we kind of trying to figure it out.
Yeah, it was a lot of figuring it out up until my junior year. When I got into my junior year, it's funny. The first game of my junior year, I had 0 points and fouled out. Wow. We played against Clemson, right? We were in this like tournament in Alaska, and this is how my Player of the Year started, right? With like this game. But I remember even feeling in that game that like, oh, that'll never even be close to happening again, right? And it was just something that clicked, and it just literally, I just felt super comfortable in my own skin. I felt great in terms of what I could do on the box. I had so many different counters to whatever anybody was going to do that I felt like, whether it was a jump hook or whatever, and then I, just could end up, dunking on somebody or whatever. I just felt really, really comfortable, and I felt comfortable with the players around me, right? We had a bunch, all of our, when I won Player of the Year, for Iona, we were 25, we were 26 in, 27 and 6 that year, right? We had the longest win streak in the nation, 17 wins in a row. We had like 6 Big East wins, right? Every single one of our guys were averaging double figures. Right. I won that Player of the Year, and I only averaged 15. Yeah. And then you had somebody averaging 14, 13, all the way down to 10. So we all just clicked, and it was a really great time. And so I was leading that team. I was the captain of the squad, and we just were on a mission. And so all of those different things, just clicked for us, and we just had an amazing time.
And what happened senior year? Same type of thing?
Nah, man, senior year was crazy. Senior year, because, by my junior year, I had, Jeff Van Gundy was coming to the gym at this point. And this was blowing my mind, right? Because, of course you have those aspirations, right? But to see it to come to fruition. Right. Frank Johnson from the Phoenix Suns was in the gym all the time. We had a bunch of guys that were coming to the practices, games to see me, right? So there was this NBA track that was just kind of unspoken that was like, okay, Kash is going to go to the league. Tim Welsh, who was my coach, Jeff Rulin was my assistant coach. Right. There was a switch that happened that senior year where Tim went to Providence, right? And he took the Providence job. It's not like how it is now, right? You couldn't just get in a portal or just go whatever. And I don't know if I would have went anywhere. I really loved Iona. I bleed maroon and gold, right? But the thing is that when Tim went and Jeff took over, at first, for me, this is, okay, cool. I love Tim. He's a great coach, right? But Jeff is my guy. He's, Jeff becoming the head coach had a different dynamic, right? And I don't know, to this day, I can't tell you exactly what happened because, Jeff and I are close now. We still talk and everything. But there was a time that we just clashed, man. It was oil and vinegar. I don't know what was going on. But we clashed. The team wasn't clicking the same kind of way. It was the first time that we had a 500, season from the time that I was there. Every year we won the league title or tied for it or whatever. Always had postseason play. And then for Jeff's year, it was just, I don't know. It didn't fit.
So did he run like similar offensive sets?
He wanted to
defensive
change
schemes?
everything.
So he basically you basically walked into a brand new program.
He wanted to change everything. He wanted to make it his own, and I think he was figuring out what that meant too.
Right.
And it just wasn't meshing with, So I went from player of the. I don't even think a lot of people know. So I went from player of the year that year to second team All MAC. That's how different the years were, And it was, and then I had an injury, like an ankle injury early in the year, where I was deciding if I wanted the red shirt or not. Like, it was so many different things that were going on, and so, we ended on a note that was sour. There was resentment for a little while, and kind of felt, like that was a year that kind of messed up the path to get to where I was trying to get to. But then I matured, and just understood that, I could play basketball on every level. I felt really confident in the fact that I could have played in the league and everything like that, and that could have been a part of the journey. And just because it didn't mean something happened. I played overseas for a little while, after taking some time off, and that was cool. But just realized that basketball was my tool, and it wasn't my path. So it was my path to a certain point. And I can play on a really high level, and was having a lot of fun playing in streetball tournaments and stuff with Fat Joe and a bunch of others, and winning MVPs and stuff there with my brothers and having a good time. But then I switched a trajectory into youth development and education, and that's where my passion really was. So ended up being a blessing.
Yeah. So we're gonna get to all of that, because I think what you probably learned in high school, learned in college, is why you're able to give back to the community and doing what you're doing today.
Yeah.
So let's just, before we get to that, talk a little bit about, because, we've spoken to Capers, we've spoken to Ricky, we've spoken to AJ, all had, the desire to play professional basketball, and all played professionally overseas.
Yeah.
So what was your experience like, and how did that work out to where you got called to say, hey, you can go play overseas? And then also tell us a little bit about some of those streetball tournaments, because I think the audience would love to hear that.
Yeah, for sure. So the thing was, I was pissed off at first, right? I didn't want to play overseas. I was going to the league. I don't want any parts of going overseas. I didn't want to live in a different country. I had gone on some summer tours. Shout out to Roshmel Jones and a couple other guys that we would go to Spain or Greece. I don't even know if I could tell half the stories. Literally, we had a college tour one time. We went to Greece. Tariq Kirksey, Marcus Faison, shout out Marcus. A couple of guys from the MAC. We went out there. And, guys just have to learn that just because you're in a different country, it doesn't mean that you can bring your American attitude with you everywhere, and you figure it out really quickly. And there's some horror stories that guys have, getting arrested and, all kinds of other stuff. But for some stupid reason, these guys decided that they wanted to run on their cab and not pay the cab, right? And decided, that was a good idea. You know what? We're not going to pay this. We're just going to bolt. Now, mind you, we don't even live here. There's only one place we can go, which is the camp lodging thing that they got to sleep in.
Oh,
So
my goodness.
the cabbie's looking at us kind of me. I'm still standing there because I'm not even ready for this, right? He's
Plus,
still,
you're a big guy. You're not really.
I just wasn't ready. I could have ran, but why are we running, y'all? So he's looking what are they doing? He's on the little walkie thing, and he's radioing it in, and they're so I finally paid the guy and just hey, listen, so sorry. Man, when we get down to the compound, I don't know how the guy there found out. He's standing at the thing with a shotgun and I'm wait, we ran on a cab, man, and not even me, right? And I get to the bottom of the hill, the guys are there, and we're oh, gun. He's yeah, gun, and he cocks the gun, and man, we just bolt into, you know what I mean? So we had some lessons, and that was the most mild, I think, lesson. But we had some lessons that we had to learn overseas, and it was a good experience. But I didn't want to live there. I didn't want to play over there. I wanted to be here, right? So when it was time for me to go, I had already taken maybe a year off, right? And I was playing in streetball tournaments and playing in pro-ams and stuff like that. And so I just had, people were always calling and saying, Kash, do you want to play? Because anybody could, get you over. And so finally I had a guy that I knew, and he gave me a call, and I ended up going over to Macedonia. And I was all right, cool, man, I'll go over. Went to Macedonia and just was killing everybody in the league. And, was trying to convince just one other American to go over there with me because I was the only black dude in the country. Every time you come out, like, they're like, what's up, my brother? Like, you know what I mean? Like, every single time. You know, every single time without fail. I was in Robotniczki, like, you know, real cool. Like, and I had some really cool teammates on the team, but it was tough. You know what I mean? I don't know. You remember that movie, The Sixth Man, back in the day?
Yeah.
So the dude that was, I think his name was Major in the movie for The Sixth Man, he was out there on one of the other teams.
Okay.
So we chilled sometimes, went to the Army base, and I tried to get Marcus Faison. He left. Tried to get Tariq. Tariq got out of there. I got my one friend, Antony Weiss, who was playing at Notre Dame, who went to Gibbons with me. And then Tony came out there. He's like, man, what is this? I was like, man, just stay. Like just, let's hoop, let's ball out. So, and it was tough because we were making so much money, but the country was so poor. Like, you're coming out and you got like little kids, like, with no shoes on and begging for money, and you know it was a tough situation, right? But you know we're out there, and so I convinced Tone to come out. But by Christmas time, you know, like, man, I'm sorry I'm going into like this really deeply, but we're out in Macedonia, and this was when I felt like it was time to go. There was like a perpetual fog, right? You're not gonna believe the story. There was a perpetual fog that just kind of like was there, and I love Skopje, and this is not a knock against Skopje or anything like that, like Zdravo, Kaisibe, all of that, right? But there was a fog that just kind of stayed. So we went to the park to kind of walk. So I was married at the time. My wife came with me, and we were walking through the park, just trying to take a walk. And out of the fog, man, this is going to sound crazy. Out of the fog, this dog, there were a lot of stray dogs. This dog comes out, and he's just showing all his teeth, and he's growling. And so, you know, I'm like, all right, I can save her, right? Like, I can handle him, right? Then another one comes out the fog, right? Like on this side. Then another one. There's like, when I tell you no lie, there was like a pack of wolves, but they were dogs. It was like 6 of them. So I'm scared because I'm like, at this point, I can save her. I can get away, right? I don't know if she could get away, but I
don't
can,
have to run fast. I just got to run faster than
faster than
her.
her, right? Like trip somebody. Like, I'm sorry, I didn't know what to do. I was like, we're gonna die here in Macedonia. We're gonna get mauled by these dogs. There's nothing I could do, right? And then literally it was just like they were marking their territory or something because like one by one they went right back into the fog. I said, we got to get out of here. I said, we can't stay here. It's time to go. Like we're in Thriller. So it was time to get out of there. And so, you know, there were other stories and other stuff that was happening out there that like Macedonia was cool, but it was time to go.
Wow.
And so then like I left at Christmas time, and Tone never lets me forget. He's like, man, you made me come out here and sign. You went home for Christmas, never came back, and then you left me. So
you left him there?
I was like, Tone, I can't go back, man. He
You don't
was
understand
like,
what happened. It was a pack of dogs, wild, ravenous dogs.
I'm sorry, bro. I can't go back.
that's
So
funny.
to this day, like he never lets me forget the fact that.
Do you have any dogs, pets now?
I love dogs, man. I don't know what was going on, but like they were, man, and it was the grace of God. I don't know what that was, but like they really went one by one back in because we couldn't do anything.
Right.
We were stuck, you know.
So where else did you play overseas?
So I played in Macedonia. When I went home, then that's when I was trying to figure out, you know, life after basketball. Right now, this sounds crazy because like I'm at the height of like everything, but like that's when I got into education and was doing that for 3 years. But then I was still playing in all these tournaments and winning MVPs and stuff, and people were like, Kash, and it was hurting my heart, right? Like I'm turning down contracts for hundreds of thousands of dollars while I'm making like $45,000 a year, you know, on this noble like cause. And it, you know, at some point it's like, man, this is getting tough, you know. So then after like year 3, somebody called me and I was like, all right, man, listen, it was Switzerland or whatever, like the offer was, right? I was like, listen, I'll go over. They said they want you on a 2-week trial because you haven't played professionally in 3 years. I said, man, come on. I'll go out there for a week and just tell the job I'm taking vacation or whatever and just come back, you know, if it doesn't work out. And that day that I flew out there, I remember I met the team, and there was another big guy that was on the squad, and you know, we were cool, like we were playing, and I was out of shape, you know, like I was tired, but like I'm, you know, doing my thing or whatever. All I know is that that night he had his bags and was on the train thing, and they sent him home, right?
Oh, really?
So I took his spot. I didn't even know that that's what was going on, like, you know, being introduced to the business of like what was going on.
Yeah.
So then I ended up playing in Switzerland that year. I played in France the following year, and then the following year I was in Portugal. And when I was in Portugal, man, I'll be honest, it was just feeling empty. Like, it was feeling that I could play ball, of course, like, and I could make a living playing basketball, but I didn't really want to live overseas. I felt I had already started in education, and that hit me in a different way because I felt like I was doing something that was meaningful and more than just for me. I was, you practice 2 hours, 2.5 hours. You have the whole day. There's only so much you're on the beach or doing the other stuff, you know. And I felt like I had found some purpose, like someplace else. And so Portugal was my last stop, and I cut the career right there, and then got really serious about education and that kind of side.
Yeah.
If you had to look back, would you change anything?
Nah, I wouldn't. I feel like, especially now, and I know we'll talk about it, but like I feel like I don't think you can go wrong when you're following passion, and that's it's not a money driver. It's a passion driver. I believe that there is a God-given intuition and alignment that is on the inside of every single one of us, and I think that we fight it sometimes based on what we feel like is the right path to go. And I think these are hard decisions to have. Like, it was a really difficult decision to leave something that I was really good at and that I could do for something that I felt like was in me to do, right? And it was hard to explain to people. It was hard to get people to understand. And it felt like steps back, I guess, to people, or it just felt like nonsense. But where I'm at in my life now, I see why that was so important, from my sports background to what I committed to like what I'm doing now. And so I think that's a real reason for the success that we're starting to have, Okay. So I wouldn't do anything different.
Okay.
And what was, just a quick 30 seconds before we switch gears and we get into what you're doing now, some of the Streetball tournaments. I know Kate plays a lot, and we all played. I always love to put this out that I was able to play on the team with you guys, and we won some championships.
Yeah,
so,
for sure,
I
right?
got to get myself in there.
Yeah, you're all the way in, all the way.
No, but what was some of the street tournaments that you played in?
So I played in everything, man. So I'm going to give you the intro to Streetball for me, right? So we didn't have this in Schenectady, not when I was coming up or whatever, like not to the level. New York City was the mecca for all of us, right? So I was with Tariq Kirksey. He's from Soundview in the Bronx, right? They had this tournament that they used to call the Pathmark tournament, right?
Yeah.
So I pull up, and, this is the first time I'm seeing this. There's an announcer on the mic, and, he's just going crazy. Like, everybody's out there around the gate, like, so we're in there. And so I'm playing in the tournament, and we start playing. Nobody knows me. I'm pulling up. I'm at Iona, but, like, these guys don't know me. Right. And these are all guys that are from there, right? Like, you got, I think it was Team Posse, like, in the team down there. So anyway, so this guy named R.A., right? Shout out to R.A. R.A. was on the mic, and R.A. was, like, just super disrespectful, right? He wasn't even trying to figure out who I was. So we started, and I score, and it was like, all right, cool. I don't, he doesn't say nothing, right? I score again. They're like, oh, like, who is this kid? I score. Oh, who is this kid? Oh, who is this kid again? So my name started to become who is this kid, right? Then I come down the thing and try to bang it on somebody, like, and then I'm going to the other side. And, like, so that became the introduction, right? I ended up playing for that team, like, in Rucker Park. And, again, I think TNT was doing some special called On Hallowed Ground. You remember that?
Yep.
So they were, and that was another thing, right? So because nobody knew me, TNT was there. They were doing On Hallowed Ground for Rucker Park, right? They're there featuring everybody on the tournament. We had a squad. It's me. Who was up? 40 was on the team with us. Bevon Robin, Nakia Miller, Reg was with us. Like, so we had a squad, right? So literally Reggie Freeman, 40, Dwayne Woodward, Nakia, Bevon Robin, and all of us were playing, right? So everybody's got big names. We're just super nice, and we're in college, and like, so we're all playing, we're balling out. We end up being Conrad McRae, I think it was, like, for the championship, right, from Syracuse. So we're playing, and they're feeding me, I'm killing whatever, right? So it's time to call for the MVP. Everybody's waiting, and they're calling me throughout the game again. It's like, oh, Kashif. They can't say Kashif. Kashif, where's the beef? Like, they just making up all kinds of corny, terrible names and everything else. So when it comes time to call MVP, they're like, MVP is, it was almost like a question mark. Kashif? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, who is this? So then I come up, I get the MVP or whatever, and they do that whole, if you go back and watch on Hologram TNT, they do the whole thing, and they're interviewing Future, and they're interviewing everybody, man. They don't even say my name in the thing. They show me with the MVP trophy, they show me with the whatever, and it's just kind of like a little line, which was cool with me, which was fine, but like, it was just, kind of evident of like my if you played in the time, you knew who I was. Like,
Right.
but if you were trying to like figure it out from like an announcer, there's like no name, like nameless person that's just coming in killing, you know?
So you are the quintessential underrated.
Yeah, for sure. This is the exact podcast, like 1,000%.
That's awesome.
But I played in everything. I played in Kingdom. I played in Rucker. I played in, all these different guys would call like in play. But like the place I played the most was with Mousy. Whoever Mousy was playing with, whoever Ra was coaching, Ra from Sean Bell All Stars. Shout out to him. Those were my two main guys. I started with body snatchers like in the Bronx, like as well, like a bunch of different people. But Fat Joe, by far, that team we won championships in Rucker Park. He had brought us to BET when Lean Back came out. It was #1, and like we were in the studio rocking out. And then we even went over to France with Percy. Rest in peace. We went over there and like we're playing in the tournament with Amara Sai and all these other people. So like there was a lot of history like with the Streetball piece, and that's kind of how I got the fabric in New York City.
Right. Wow, so a nice long way from Schenectady to New York.
Yeah.
Living
But never
NYC.
too far, man. Always Schenectady in the heart, man.
Right,
I always
right.
represent Schenectady.
Any dealings at West Fourth? You ever play down in West Fourth?
I played in West Fourth.
Okay.
I shouldn't bring this up, but in West Fourth, I was. You hear about West Fourth, right? And then you get on the court, and it's like, man, I take 3 steps, I'm on the end of the court. But it was cool. Played there a couple of times. Actually, I caught a body in West Fourth. Obi's Pops. Snoop.
Oh, yeah, Snoop. Yeah, he
That's
played
my
on my
guy.
team.
That's my guy. But I got a nice emblem like on
Okay.
Snoop, like out there, whatever. But only a couple of games like out in West Fourth. But this is all family, man. It's all love. Like I see all these guys, and it's just just memories of different places that we played and everything.
So let's switch gears from your playing days to let's talk about you as the teacher, the mentor, and kind of like bring us into what you're doing now.
Yeah. So I made the transition, and I think I struggled like all athletes struggle with what you're going to do after basketball. And I think I struggled even more because I was kind of leaving at the prime of, career, and also feeling like, I should have been playing at a certain place or whatever, and coming to grips with all of that. But I really feel like during that time I was also heavily into like church, and I was praying and like just looking for guidance and getting, I feel like, divine guidance like during that time. And I felt like I was really being called to get into a classroom setting, right, into education. And it wasn't something I wanted to do. I gave my teachers fits in school. I was really smart. I was fine, but like I just wasn't the best student, like in terms of like, I don't know if you can curse on here. I was an asshole, like just period, right? Like with like a lot of like the teachers and stuff like that. So I was like, man, if karma's real, I don't want any parts of this. But ended up seeing a friend by chance, like, okay, let's go through the thing. I made money overseas. I didn't make enough to like not work, but I didn't know what I wanted to do, and ended up spending all the money overseas because you're just young and you're dumb, and you're spending money frivolously like it's gonna just keep coming because you have no concept. Ended up in my father-in-law's house, like, and living there, like on his twin bed with my wife, like on like a back room, and just like, okay, like what do you want to do, And then literally started just trying to figure it out. And a friend of mine I saw in a diner, and he was like, Kash, what's up, man? Rick Boca Chica. And he's like, Kash, what's up? What are you doing, man? I was like, I'm not, just trying to figure it out, man. Like, oh, you're not hooping no more? I was like, nah, no, I'm not playing. Like, so it's like, man, you ever think about teaching? I was like, what the hell is this? Like, why do we keep talking? And he's like, my sister's a principal, man. You'd be great. And so his sister, Jackie, brought me in, talked to me, and now, mind you, I'm thinking I'm amazing, right? Kind of like the train story you just. So she's talking to me, and she's not even asking for the resume, right? She's just having the conversation, and she was like, "Oh, I think you'd be great with our kids." And this is in New York City before you needed a teaching license, because they had shortages. So as long as you were degreed, they gave you up to 5 years to get your teaching license. So you'd be great. Like, oh, you're gonna come in. I went home. I was like, yo. It must be in me. I must be like an educator through and through. She didn't even ask for my resume. Like, I didn't know 3 teachers had quit. I'm like, before that, like, they didn't have a teacher they were desperate for. It was December 10th, you know what I mean? All these kids were over age in the school, like, and I was on 182nd and Webster, like in the Bronx. And traditionally, this school, like, it's always been like a crazy school. So I don't know what I'm walking into, right? And I walk in, and man, the first day I got cursed out like I'd never got cursed out in my life. I didn't know what to do. This kid was like 14 years old. I said, he was acting up, he was doing something. I was like, hey man, like, I don't want to have to call your mom, like, whatever. He's like, call my. It just started going crazy. I said, nah. Do I hit him? Do I throw? Not equipped at all with what to do in like the situation. Just like thrown into the wolves den.
It's like he came out of the fog.
Man, and you know how it is. Everybody's looking to see how you're gonna react, right? So everybody's looking to see like, what's he gonna do? Whatever. Man, I took it. So then at that, it's open season.
Oh yeah.
You know, and we're figuring it out. So for 2 weeks, it was kind of crazy, and like literally at like the 2-week mark, we were in the class and we were figuring it out. And then one day, like the kids, like some other kid tried to say what's up to me because they started to like see I'm not going anywhere. I'm here, like, and don't talk to him. That's our teacher. Like, and you didn't call you by your name. It was just like, what's up, mister? Like, just like, but I was there, mister, right? Then we built that bond. I started opening up the gym. We got through that year. When we got through that year, they were like gave a standing ovation because I stayed with them like my kids, right? And it just hit me in a different way. And I was like, man, like this is impactful. This is like, this means something more than what I've been doing in the past, and I want to give myself to it. So then I just learned the craft, got my master's, got my second master's, and then became like a school building leader in Harlem, working with a really prominent like charter school, like, and learned a lot, and just really grateful for that journey. And then was leading my own team and developing teachers and kids and everything else. And so like a really big family in that world of education, So really, really dope.
That's cool. As far as teaching, what do you look in as far as like your teachers that you were hiring at that time? Like you was a principal.
Yeah.
What did anything attract you to teachers that you were hiring? Like as far as like, because they always say like basketball is like a reflection of you and how you coach and how you like just live your life, right? And for teaching, I know teaching had to be like, because I try to teach, right? And it was really taxing on me.
It's tough.
And it wasn't the easiest thing, but I kind of put it back into like a basketball. It's just like another thing that I got to kind of get better at, kind of study at, and just try to figure it out. And I know for you as a principal, now you're heading everybody, right?
Yeah.
So how was that as far as like being a leader on a court to as a leader in like the classrooms and just trying to show people your guidance or the way that you wanted the things to be run?
Yeah, first off, a huge shout out to all the teachers and educators out there. It is, people don't understand. I remember having this conversation because my ex-wife used to teach before me, and she got in the classroom first, and I was like, why are you tired? Get out at 3 o'clock. You get all the vacations.
Summer off.
The whole, like, what are we talking about? Like, you talking in your sleep, yelling at kids. Calm down. Just trying to figure it out. But once you get in there and you really understand, that first year teaching, I don't care how many miles. We were 9 miles. We're like lifting. There's nothing more exhausting than being in a classroom, right? Whatever I wore, whatever shirt and tie I had on, that was my pajamas for the night. Once I got home, I was finished. I didn't have anything left, just like conked out. This is crazy. And you got people pulling on you, talking to you, like asking you for the things, and you're trying to be the solution for all these things at once. You're multitasking, you got all the... So shout out to all of the educators. It is one of the most demanding jobs ever, right? But the thing that you look for is that, once you get past the resume and everything else, you don't know how people are going to be until they're in front of the kids, right? And you're looking for people that care, right? And that will, it's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. It's about showing up. It's about, understanding that the kids that are in the classroom are not, that these are actual people, no matter what level they're on or where they're at. Because there's a lot of judgment that goes into kids and biases that go into kids based on, where people think if this kid is smart or if this kid is, or what family is this kid from. And it's like, if you just have a care for kids and a passion for education and want to help, believe that every kid can learn, believe that there's some kind of way that you can reach every single kid in that classroom and that they have some worth outside of if they did well on your English test or your math test, that there's something still intrinsically worthwhile about every single kid that's in front of you. Those are the strongest teachers. Those are the ones with the best attributes. They grow. The kids love them. Even if they're structured and they're tough in their classrooms, the kids understand it's coming from a place of love. So those were the kinds of things that you looked for, that were those innate pieces that showed that they really cared about their craft and they cared about the kids.
Okay.
How did you think like your basketball background where you were able to, like you mentioned, opening up the gym and like them seeing you outside of the classroom, but also seeing that you were there, you were a stable figure in their lives, and you cared about them, and you spent that extra time, whether it be playing hoops or just talking about life in general. Mm-hmm. You know, AJ had mentioned, he was here a couple of weeks, he had talked about, and you coaching with AJ, you guys talked about how you have to be the coach, the teacher, the mentor, the disciplinarian, the father figure. You know, how did that all come to play, and would that make you more relatable to the kids, and you were able to have, I mean, you've been very successful, so how did your background in, you know, playing basketball and the adversity that you felt help you with becoming a teacher first, but then leading a school?
Yeah, for sure. Let me tell you something though, really quickly. All of your accolades, all of your it doesn't mean anything. Those kids are sizing you up in the first 5 seconds,
Right.
And like it's not about the stuff that's hanging on the wall, right? It's about that assessment that they have of you, right?
Yeah.
So it matters, but it matters later, right? But yeah, to answer your question, the thing I felt that mattered the most, first of all, was representation, right? I was very keenly aware of the fact that a lot of my kids had never had black male teacher before, and didn't have a ton of examples of black men in their life that kind of could put on a shirt and tie and articulate themselves and switch up the vernacular on the court and talk shit and like have a great time. So they would see me in my Jordans, and they would see me in my dress shoes, and they would see me serious in the classroom about pushing education and about studying for an exam, but then they'd also see me cracking jokes in the lunchroom if, you know, somebody, wanted to snap and just talk and whatever else, right? So seeing that dynamic and being an authority figure, but also being a compassionate person that they could relate to, it meant the world to my kids, like, and they would tell me about it. They even kept the connections. There was one time, so some of my kids so over there on 182nd, you have Valentine, T-Bout, Slaughter, you have all these different areas that are there, right? So some of my kids from that particular area actually were cool with Lil TJ, right? Because he was from that area. This is years after I've seen them, right? They're grown now, like kids and everything, right? They call me and say, or find me on Instagram or something. Hey, Hameed, listen, we're working with TJ, like, or whatever, like, you know, it'd be great. Like, and this is as he's coming up, he could come to the school, and mind you, all the kids know him because they always know people before they blow up. We let him come to the school. He says what's up to the kids, but right after that, they're like, yo, can you open up the gym like you used to, man? Like, he doesn't have any place to play or whatever. TJ didn't come play. Yeah. They came to play, right? So then we ended up hooping, like, and played, like, and everything like that, and just had, like, a good time. But I feel like that was something that they remembered. That's something they took with them. Right. Any kids that reach out to me from that time remember that, like, and just are really thankful about the relationship that we had, because we really, and that's the piece, we really had relationship, right? And that relationship, again, they got to see kind of all sides, right? That professional side, that playful side, that father figure side, and that brother side. They just felt it, and so those connections lasted.
Yeah. Talk about your transition after being a principal. So what did you do after that role was, I guess, completed, or what was your next journey from there?
Yeah, well, I think it was back to figuring it out, but I feel like if there's a through line that goes through all of this, it's the fact that, like, you can't be afraid to figure it out. You know, I don't think that you have to stay stuck in anything. And again, I think that if you're following passion, that, yeah, you'll have to switch, and, like, you know, it's not just just stay on this one line or whatever. You know, you adjust as it's going, but you follow that thing and it brings you to a destination, right? And a destination that's true to you. So, you know, when I stopped being the principal of the school that I was at, and then it was time for me to figure it out, I knew at my core that impact, social impact, development, youth development, I knew that was in me, right? So even when I started a production company, Kash Productions, we started doing some work together, and the first thing that we did, like, together was find somebody that we felt like needed, like, a boost or the help, or if we could step in, that this could get to here, right? Somebody who had limited resources, but hey, with the right resources, you can get to here. And I feel like it was great. It was like it showed a lot of lessons of, like, what could happen, and that, you know, if you're surrounded with the right people that you could be successful. And so that was a great start. And then when Clinic Kids came, it was like marrying the two, right? So the production side, like just being really creative, for me, because my dad was a musician when I was younger. I played the keys and the sax and always dabbled in the arts and stuff like that. So that was beautiful, like in doing that work. But then on the other side, then bringing this high impact work, I started this nonprofit, Clinic Kids, that we work and everything. And when we started Clinic Kids, it brought both worlds of like the basketball, the education, everything all together in a really dope way. And then the production company, that experience allows like for me to be able to do all the footage and do all the things that we need, like to be able to make it go to where it is. So it's really all encompassing all of those experiences from start like to now, you know? And I think, you know, when people talk about alignment, I think that's what they mean, right? Like it's not a thing that, it's like once it aligns and once it gets there, it's really the sum total of all those experiences.
So it's funny, Clinic Kids, right? So I've known you for a while,
Yeah.
and Dave sent us the video, you know, just a quick thing that was on YouTube, and I mean that was amazing. Like just hearing the kids' stories of how they believe in themselves, and like even the mother was like, you know, I have a daughter who, you know, is really uncomfortable in her skin, and then she came to Clinic Kids, and next thing you know, she's getting a certificate, she's playing basketball, and like you're just like, wow, you are truly making such a huge difference, and not like circling back to what I said earlier, like all that adversity that you went through and playing overseas and not getting to where you want to be, you actually are exactly where you're supposed to be. You know, and that was an amazing video, and I was like, these are the things that we learn about people that, you know, we could play ball for many, many years,
and
but
never
you never get into that conversation.
Yep. You know what it is, man, is that it's the story, right? Schenectady is a small town. There was a lot of violence when I was growing up, like in that particular city. And, you know, I know people talk about violence in other areas, but small town violence is different, right? Because you can get really stuck. Everybody knows each other. There's not a lot of escapes, you know, a lot of escape routes. So it was a lot growing up and trying to get through that. And there was a feeling where the self-worth wasn't high. You know what I mean? I'm not hustling. I'm not selling drugs. I'm not doing that. But I'm living in this environment, right? So I don't have what everybody else has, right? So then you start to feel some kind of way, like in terms of where you're at in that hierarchy, right? And then what sports did for me is that it gave me a way to like find my way to this level of like hierarchy without having to choose like any of those routes, right? And then, but that's deceptive too, because then you're really good at sports, right? And you're spending all this time in the gym and everything else. You haven't dealt with any of that stuff on the inside in terms of like self-worth, because now your self-worth is just tied to this thing. And so this is why a lot of guys have a lot of people have a hard time transitioning out, because now this thing is over that all of my worth was tied to. And now I'm holding on to it with everything that I have. I'm still trying to play. I'm still talking junk about like the old days. My everything is still tied to this because I haven't figured out like that value intrinsically. And so that step of like figuring out life after sports is that, right? It's like, who am I and what does my value hold outside of this athletic ability? And a lot of us escape that feeling of worthlessness through sports and through being really good at sports, and are holding on with everything we have not to let that go, because then it's like, well, who am I outside of that, right? So making that discovery and figuring that out, you know, changes everything. And now we're helping kids navigate kind of this self-worth question of who they are from as early as 7 years old through high school, so that no matter what you do, before you're nice at this sport, or like if you are getting this job, if you have money, if you don't have money, and we're going into the most underserved places, right? And it's like, yeah, I don't care yet. Right now, your hoes might have the shoes on them, right? Like I've been there. Right now, you might not have like the freshest stuff on. I've been there. Right now, your confidence might not be where you don't have any muscles. You can't lift that. You can't lift that weight off your chest. I've been there, right? But you have to figure out your intrinsic worth outside of that, and let some other people like pour into you and let you know that, yo, we know your name. We're here excited to see you, and you know it's all about you. So you can start to feel good about who you are in here, and then learning strategies and everything like that when those like struggles happen. And if people can get that, then it's like, you know, I think that would help all of us like with those transitionary periods, especially athletes.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Where do you see Kash in even Clinic Kids in like 5 years from now?
I really feel like that we're on the brink of doing something really special, right? Because it's coming from a place of addressing a need, right? Like, we're talking about the fact that we are taking former professional athletes, teaming them up with mental health clinicians, and we're going into the most underserved areas that are around to really help kids navigate through like those challenges and find self-worth and everything else, right, and give tools. Through sports, right, which sports should be engaged with in any way. So many athletes are screaming from the top of their lungs, hey, this is important, and everybody keeps sending them out to outside places to get help. And it's like, no, this needs to be an interwoven part of what it is, right? So what I hope is that we're not the owners of this space by any means. I don't think that that's what it is. I think it's literally that we are kind of the eye-openers in the space, that when people are seeing this and they're seeing us, that they're seeing something that they can replicate, something that they can bring to their communities. If we can help facilitate that, cool. If they take it and they run with it, cool. But I'm hoping that we are a part of making and normalizing mental health in these spaces, and bringing kind of like therapeutic practices to the places that need it most, so that it just becomes commonplace. You know?
That's awesome.
I know, like, for myself, like, I work with Kash in the clinic, and I use a lot of the mental health things that we do, like pace breathing. I use that all the time, just because I never really thought about it until I actually started doing this clinic, and then I'm seeing how much it is a need to have that alone time with yourself and just to kind of understand who you are as a person. So that's bigs up to Clinic Kids and to everything that you're doing.
Yeah, it's got to hit you, right? It's got to hit you first, because you don't take care of yourself, especially as guys, right?
Of course.
What are you doing for yourself?
Right.
You know, you're not talking about your feelings. You're not. You said, like you said, you could hoop with guys the whole time,
Right, and
not
no
know
one says
anything,
anything,
right?
yeah.
Like just nothing at all. You're dealing with losses in family. You're dealing with stuff like within your own relationship. You're dealing with stuff as a dad or as a husband or as a whatever, just as a human being, right? No outlets at all, and then you're just navigating. It's supposed to be like this individual that's got it together, like,
Right.
you know, and never unpacking any of that stuff. So when we're starting to do the work, I had to start to even myself jump in, and I was talking to a therapist for like 2 years and like trying to like unpack some stuff. I was reading different books and like got into Wim Hof and cold therapy and cold showers. And mind you, I'm black, right? I don't want anything cold, right? So as soon as I got into the cold shower and I'm moving it to lukewarm, I'm screaming because like, why would I ever want to be in a cold shower? But then taking that mentality as an athlete, we would ice only when we're hurt, right?
Yeah.
Instead of being, reactive, being preventive. And now, like, you're taking cold showers. I'm literally at the end of every shower, ice cold for 20 minutes, like no problem. Doing breath work in the shower, mindfulness, meditation, things that I never even valued as important, right? But these are the things that, I'm applying to myself constantly to try to grow and then try to continue to be better, like as an individual. And I can only imagine what that would have been like if I would have started when I was younger, right? And somebody was introducing this to me, especially some cool like basketball players that are coming in who normally only work with elite guys, and I can't even dribble, and they're like giving me pointers, So I think we created a really great space, and for the trainers too. Like how you said, a lot of the guys are adapting these things too because we need it. You know, so
well, it's a whole journey, right?
Yeah.
Your life never stops until unfortunately, the very end. So you're on a constant journey to better yourself and help others out and all of that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fantastic story, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it. We're on the journey, man, and like I'm excited because we're starting to add more women to the mix, like as well, like for some of the work. So. I think we're going to be in different sports. I think we're going to be all over the place, and just literally, hopefully, just the spark,
Well, as we say, when you visit Underrated, your career tends to skyrocket. So you have nothing but positive vibes heading your way.
This is the first right here.
This is the first.
This is the first.
I mean,
This is the
we'll
first.
follow up with you in a couple of months, see where it led you to. But so we're gonna switch gears to have a little fun to close out the show.
All right, cool. Let's go.
And so this is what we call our overrated, underrated segment by our Chile shades. So you can go to the website, get your Chile shades, and Cash, you get to go home with a pair of your own shades today.
Let's
So So, you'll be able to put them on, rock them, and
Chile shades.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's go.
So,
I'll put them on right now.
There we go. So what we do in this segment is we just give you a couple topics, and then you just say overrated or underrated. And some people that have been on the show tend to explain what they mean. So you can either give a definition or get your thought out there, or you can just move on to the next topic.
Right,
so,
cool.
Kate, why don't we start with you?
Before we started, though, at the end, I want to go over a little quick story between me and Kash.
All right. Yeah. No. Of course.
And
do you want to do that now, and then we'll?
And can I shout out all the guys too, and all the people that have been doing this, the stuff that we were doing with the kids and stuff like that. These dudes were doing it for free, with no money involved, no anything. I was just making the calls. I don't want to say all the names. I'm going to miss people. But shout out to all the Clinic Kids dudes, Kia, all my Iona brothers, Kia, Phil, Tariq, Cape. I started doing it, but both Glovers, John McDonald, Ricky Soliver, Andre Howard, prayers up for Dre. Literally for all of you guys that came on and were doing the work first, because, man, if you guys weren't rocking and doing it like that in the beginning, we never even got here. So huge shout out to Court. That's CF. Can't forget Courtney Fields.
Yes.
So why don't you tell your story, and then that way we'll finish out the segment after that.
So it's a quick story, right? And I know Kash remembers it, but the way that I met Kash, right? I met him because I used to sell for Home Depot. I used to sell roofing, siding, and windows. So I go to this house and I see this tall black dude. I'm like, man, this guy's kind of tall. So I'm like, we're talking. He's going over I need this window, that window, this window. And I'm like, yo, you play ball before? He was like, yeah. So we started talking, and it just so happens that we all know the same people. Like John Celestin was one of the guys that we kind of had a common bond with, because he's one of my Jersey guys, but he actually played with him and stayed with him, so he knew him. And I called him at the time. I'm like, yo, Sally. I was like, guess who I'm with? He was like, I didn't know you know Kashif. I was like, I didn't, but now I do. And then after that, he started coming to the runs, and then we just, been rocking out ever since.
That's a great thing, because we won a couple championship contenders together, and then the one at the House of.
I'm always recruiting, man.
The House of the we got to get you on the road more. Start bringing us back some more winners. So, but yeah, because I remember the first time I met you, we were playing on a team together, and I was just like, man, look at this guy, 6'8", got all these moves and all that stuff. The only thing that I always say is the first 10 minutes, he would dominate the game.
Been dead.
And then he'd be like, sub.
Take me out of here, guys. These days are over. You got what you got. It's over now.
First 10 minutes, domination.
Yeah, it's
all right, so overrated, underrated. Cape, kick it off.
March Madness.
Nah, that is exactly where it's supposed to be. That's not overrated at all. It's not underrated. Everybody gets hyped for March Madness, and they should.
All right, NIL deals.
What disastrous? Can I say that?
But
underrated or overrated? NIL deals, overrated too. They need to fix this. They need to put some structure here. There's a lot of people feeling they're better than what they are because they're getting paid, and I don't know. Everybody should get paid. College sports should have been getting paid for a long time, but they need to figure out a structure.
Okay.
New York City basketball.
Now?
Yeah.
Overrated.
Okay.
Now. Before, but the heyday, the heyday before, was different, but yeah, right now it's not where it used to be.
Okay.
Recruiting for high school kids with all of the NIL and portal deal, overrated, underrated for high school kids coming up.
Recruiting for high school kids, underrated or overrated? High school kids are in trouble, guys. I don't know if it's underrated or overrated. It's with all the kids in the portal, they're lengthening the time that the portal is open, because everybody's stuck, and you have all these guys that already have college experience in the portal. So then, how do you take high school guys? So I don't know if it's underrated or overrated. I think that they're in trouble. I think they have to figure something out. A lot of guys reclassing prep schools, JUCOs now, where they can keep their eligibility, but it's tough to come out now. If I was coming out at 17 years old now and I had to compete against all these guys that were in the portal, I don't know if my story would be the same.
Yeah, that's a good point. Cape, end it.
I want to know. Okay, I'll make this easy. I want you to give me both of them, whether it's underrated or overrated. Jordan and LeBron. First, start off with LeBron.
LeBron is not is not overrated at all.
Okay.
That brother has put in a body of work that it is foolish not to respect, right? And I understand that people want to do the comparison because your comparison is of the greatest people that have ever played the game, right? So, they'll talk about the comparisons and people will have their judgment, but you can't take away from that body of work that he's put in, right? Whether you like his game, whether you don't, you have to respect it.
Of course.
Have to. And Jordan, there's no debate. I saw a quote from Dr. J that was saying, we all played in the NBA. Jordan is the NBA. We wouldn't have the league without him. And anything else after that is an imitation, So it's I feel like if Doc is saying that, I'm going to go with Doc.
So you would think you would take.
Oh, you're asking me who would I take?
Yeah, who's the GOAT? Who is your GOAT?
That's what I'm saying. I don't think that I think the GOAT debate is always loaded because it's the GOAT debate. I feel like you can't. The greatest player of all time in my era that I've ever seen is Michael Jordan, easily. To compare him now to LeBron James in this era, to say who was better or who would have, I don't know what that answer is, but I don't think there's even a question about who's the most dominant player ever that I've ever seen or been a part of. And I think that's Michael.
I agree.
1,000%.
What about you?
Well, I already said I thought Jordan, and I even think I always bring this up, but Kobe Bryant doesn't get enough credit.
Yeah,
for
that's
that
true.
As well.
That's true. That's true. And LeBron is great, man.
Yeah.
LeBron is amazing. I feel like the double overtime game against Boston, every single point. You can just go through his resume of all the different things. Amazing player. Never take anything away from him, but I don't. That Jordan debate is tough, man. I think it's Mike all day long.
Yeah.
So just because I like to pay people back, little light here, little levity. David Capers, overrated or underrated?
Nah. David Capers is underrated, man. This is Lethal Shooter before Lethal Shooter, man. So let's put it out there.
Oh,
right?
you funny.
You're gonna stand by that answer?
It's the same Bonaventure right here, we need to set that up. We need to get you in the gym and let them see, Kate.
Well, we will. We're at some point we're going to film our Saturday morning run.
Oh, there we go.
And just see so the visitors can, or the viewers, I should say, the viewers can.
Maybe not the whole run. Maybe just the shots.
Well, yeah. No. Well, it's
the
funny
shot,
because
yeah.
we had a gentleman you've played with him probably before, Kenny Barra, lefty, older guy.
Oh, KB,
yeah. So he was on here and he said that him and Saul, they were sitting on the sideline watching us play, and they were like, do we really move that slow?
yeah. I'm saying maybe not the game footage.
Right.
Just a couple shots here and there.
Well,
So,
Cash, again, thank you so much, man, for your time.
congratulations,
Thank you.
fellas. Thank you so much for having me
Great
on.
story, and
Really
would
dope.
love to have you come back, even talk to some of your other, coaches that are involved in your
1,000%.
clinics, and even maybe some the participants. Some of the
Underrated,
student
man.
athletes,
Let's go. Let's make that move up together, man.
I love
literally.
it. I love it. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. Again, remember, please like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Underrated.
Later.